All right. Hey, everyone. Big announcement today. Bank of Canada cut interest rates by point 0.5 basis points, overnight basis points, right? The overnight lending rate is now 3.25 in Canada. Here, I'll wait till people are logging in. Live on multiple platforms here. So if you have questions or if you want to chat about something, definitely let me know. But we're going to talk about, the Bank of Canada announcement. What was I going to say? So I was looking at this year just overall here. Wait till people file in here. And I want to go over some stats, right? So this is the fifth cut in a row this year from the Bank of Canada, which is awesome, right? I believe the first three were 0.25, and then the last two were 0.5 cuts. So that's absolutely awesome. I love it because we got a bunch of refinances coming up, and this should help reduce the interest rates, right? Some of our loans, and we can talk about this after, some of our variable rate loans, right, are directly tied to what prime is and what the interest rate is at. So this will definitely be a good thing. Actually, I want to message, will my loans be at, messaging the team here. But yeah, so huge, 0.5 basis points, just like the last announcement. This is good in my opinion. I was watching a little bit of it. What I mostly cared about was, hey, is there a cut? A, B, what is the cut? What is the amount? And then I wanted to see, because I was listening to their their announcement, their presentation, whatever you want to call it. And after they talked about, inflation is at their key metric of 2%. They were talking about, the GST holiday, which, not going to lie, I'm definitely not an expert on that kind of stuff. I'm a real estate investor. They were talking about how I think till like now until mid-Feb, it's actually going to drop down to 1.5% inflation because of that GST holiday or whatever they're calling it. But they just want to keep inflation around the 2% mark. And they were basically saying, like, I'm trying to read between the lines. They were saying, and I'll definitely be talking to economists and mortgage brokers who do this for a living, right? I'm neither just a real estate investor that talks to people that live and breathe this stuff. But what was I going to say? The reading between the lines. What they were kind of saying, in my opinion, was they wanted to have, what's the word they were using? Gradual. They want to keep the 2% inflation rate with gradual adjustments. Here, let me see if I can find it. And I kind of went down the rabbit hole as well, and I want to give you guys some numbers and some stats. But if you're just logging in, if you're just coming in, the Bank of Canada did do a interest rate cut, 0.5 basis points. Okay, and the new overnight lending rate is 3.25. Okay. So if we look back at 2024 this year, on July 5th, they cut 0.25, reducing it from 5% to 4.75. July 24th, right, they did another 0.25 basis cut. So going from 4.75 to 4.5. Okay. And I'm looking historically, and we were starting to get close to that 2% inflation target metric that they were looking for. Then on September 4th, they cut another 0.25. So that was the third 0.25 cut that they did in a row, bringing us to 4.25. And then boom, October, just before Halloween, they cut it by 50, a jumbo cut. Love seeing that, which dropped us below 4. We got to 3.75. And then today, obviously, December 11th, another jumbo cut of 0.5, bringing us to 3.25. I think they want to bring us, I think their sweet spot, where was I reading this? I think their sweet spot is either 2.5 or 2.25, I believe, is what they wanted for the sweet spot. Okay, so that's, hopefully they can meet that by next year. I think the next announcement is something like January 29th. Yeah, January 29th. Okay, that'll be our next announcement in Canada. Next week, the Fed announces, that's the US, but today we're talking about Bank of Canada. So five cuts and 5 announcements. I love that the last 2 were jumbo ones. Go Leafs go. Matthew scored in overtime last night. Beat the, who was it? The Devils, New Jersey. But that's beside the point. So something else that I was looking at. Okay, so in Canada, next year will be an election year, right? October is when the election is set. And historically, rates, and again, guys, I'm not making this up. Historically, interest rates get cut in an election year, and we're leading up to one. It's less than 12 months. I'm not political, so I think it's less. I think it's in October or November. Anyway. So we're less than a year away. So historically, we should continue to see cuts as well, which is awesome. If you have any questions, definitely put it in the chat. Okay, do not be shy. Put it in the chat. What was I going to say? And we can go through it. What else was I going to go? Oh, I had some stats as well. Okay, so in 2025, approximately 1.2 million Canadian fixed rate mortgages are set to renew in 2025. Okay, I don't know. I thought I read something like 55 or 60%. So I don't know if 1.2 million mortgages, fixed rate mortgages, I should say, fixed rate mortgages are set to renew in 2025. Okay, so that is huge. That is a very huge amount. And I believe actually in 2026, so yeah, 2025, that's $315 billion that is set to renew. And here's the stat. That's right. Approximately 60%, 60, of Canadian mortgages are scheduled for renewal between now and the end of 2026. 60%. Let that sink in. Over half of Canadian mortgages are set to renew between now and the end of 2026. That's over 4 million mortgages with outstanding balances exceeding $900 billion. Almost $1 trillion of mortgages will be renewing by the end of 2026. So what does that mean? Even if you're not an economist, even if you're not like a mortgage broker or you're not really paying that much attention, if 60% of mortgages are renewing by then, over half of your mortgages in a country, if you're the bank, like you got to bring rates down. Otherwise, people will not be able to renew, or people are going to they're going to have some hardship, right? So what that means, the way I read that is, okay, the government is going to continue to reduce it so that when, we have a soft landing, when people go to renew. So some huge stats. Where else did I want to see? So there's something else I wanted to go over with you guys. In 2025, that's right, approximately $300 billion in mortgages will renew. Many of which are variable rate. Okay, so a lot of people got that variable rate when the rates were low, and they got stung when the rates went up, right? So we picked up a couple of variable rates at the tail end of when the mortgages or the interest rates were going up. And then 2026, borrowers could pay, the largest renewal volume in 2026 is $400 billion. So that's going to be the biggest year out of the 3 years, right? In 2024, there's $186 billion in mortgages set to renew. In 2025, there's $315 billion in mortgages that are set to renew. And then in 2026, it's $400 billion is expected to renew. And I was reading another article, I forget where, in one of the finance things that I read, it was talking about hopefully, should I say hopefully? I'm saying hopefully that there's going to be, the banks know this, right? That a lot of mortgages will be renewing. And what do the banks do? They lend money in the form of mortgages and they make interest off it, right? So there's going to be a huge, what's the word I want to look or use? Appetite. There's going to be a huge portion that is up for grabs, meaning they are predicting that there's going to be mortgage wars, right? Out of the big 5 or 6 banks, a lot of them are renewing. A lot of them are going to want to retain their market share. A lot of them are going to want to increase their market share in the form of mortgages. What does that mean? Again, I'm just not making predictions here. I'm just talking out loud. As investors and as consumers of mortgages, that's good for us. If the banks are fighting for our business, our business, our dollars, right? Then that's good for the consumer. Okay, so that's a couple articles that I was reading. But yeah, huge announcement today. Again, if you're just tuning in, guys, if you have questions, don't hesitate. If you're just tuning in, 0.5 not percent, 0.5 basis, 0.5%, 0.5 basis jumbo cut is what the Bank of Canada announced today, the fifth cut since June of 2024. However, this year, I guess we're still 2024 for a couple more weeks, but so a huge announcement. What else was I going to say? So this is directly, I've already messaged the bankers. Every time there's an announcement, I'm like, hey, what's my rate? I want it in writing, and when's it going to take effect? So for example, actually, what is prime right now? I forget. What is prime in Canada? What is prime in Canada? It is 5.95. So that means, let's just keep it simple. So if you have a mortgage, let's say you have a variable rate mortgage, and typically it's like prime +1 or +2 or +1 point, whatever you've negotiated with the bank. But let's just keep it simple. Let's say it's prime. So as of today, prime is 5.95. I wonder if this is giving me today's rate as of December 4th. Yeah. So prime tomorrow, right? If you have a variable rate mortgage, and let's say you were a prime, or your mortgage was exactly prime 5.95. Take 0.5 off of that, right? So you'll be at 5.445 overnight. So we have, I think, 4 variable rate mortgages still. So overnight, right? And I do the math usually on this. I won't do it today, but typically when I do these Bank of Canada announcements, I do the math. So I end up using one of our properties. Hey, if the mortgage is X amount of dollars, per month, with that 0.5 basis cut, the mortgage literally reduces. So that payment, so let's say my January payment will be lower on my variable rate mortgages than my December payment was, because of the adjustment in prime. So literally that means when you're on the variable rate and they do the cuts, you see it, most likely immediately, and it reflects typically the next day. I've already talked to our bankers, and they're like, "Yep, David, it'll reflect tomorrow." They know the spiel. As soon as I don't message them when the bank increases. I'm like, "Nope, forget about that one." But when the bank decreases, I'm like, "Yep, make that change that," which they do automatically. But you will see that does mean that your variable rate mortgage interest rate will go down, which is always, it's good, right? It means your payments are less. Who wants to pay more interest if you don't have to? It means more if you're a real estate investor and you buy income properties. This means more money in your pocket. If you are not a real estate investor yet, okay, and you want to get started, Mel and I have our Action Family Mentoring program. If ever that's of interest, we show people how to purchase, real estate, just like we do with creative financing and other people's money. We do it in 5 countries. Just reach out, DM us the word action. Hey, I was on Dave's live. I saw him. I'm interested in, talking more. DM us the word action and we can chat about that. But what are they predicting for next year? Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, January 29th is the next announcement for the Bank of Canada. I am still like, cut, please cut, which I think they will, because I think they want to get to that, 2.5 or 2.25. They want to do it gradually, they said. So who knows if they'll do another jumbo or if they'll do a 0.25. But what was I going to say? When I talk to the real estate agents all throughout Canada, they typically, what they've been telling me, what they've been telling me recently is it's still somewhat of a buyer's market, right? Yes, the interest rates have come down. Yes, it's getting, some people off the fence, off the ledge, kind of getting back into the market and feeling it out and buying real estate. But they're still not seeing as much as they thought they would. Okay, and who knows if today with the announcement, who knows if today will be that sticking, they're not sticking, but will be that needle mover where we see a lot of people that go, you know what? This is the 5th cut since June, right? In 6 months or 7 months, whatever it equates to, we've seen 5 cuts to the actual overnight lending rate. Will this be the one that finally, what is it? The straw that breaks the camel's back, and the masses come back into the real estate market? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's coupled with this December 11th the announcement, coupled with January, people having new goals and they wanted to kick off 2025 in a right direction. Is it waiting till January 29th? If they do another cut, then is that when the floodgates open for people to come back in the real estate market? Who knows, right? No one knows. It's just we're going to see, in my opinion, I believe we're going to see the market pick up in definitely in 2020. I feel like we're seeing it already a little bit, but definitely in 2025. And what I'm getting at is, if you want to get into this and you're like, but I want to buy still when it's still a buyer's market, not when it's a seller's market, and everyone is guns ablazing and overpaying and all that. Get started now. Like, that's what I've been saying this since they started cutting. I'm like, it's the pendulum is going to shift. It's going to happen. It's just, when does it happen, right? And all of a sudden, it's going to be like buying frenzy. Everyone's buying real estate again. Which you can still make money in those markets too. Like, you can make money in any real estate market. I'm just saying, why not get in now, or, at the start of January? And that's where Mel and I can help you with our Action Failure Mentoring Program. But why not start looking at it now so that you're ready and you're still buying in a buyer's market, right? That's what I've been kind of preaching since they started cutting in June. But yeah, that's just my opinion. That's just kind of what we see. So I want to read, as people are logging in and out and all that, I do want to read some stats. Okay. So again, since June, I want to read you the numbers. So since June, so June 5th, they cut 0.25 basis points to get us down to 4.75 out of the 5. July 24th, they cut another 0.25 basis points to get us down to 4.5, right? And we were nearing that 2% inflation target. September 4th, they did the third 0.25 basis point reduction, bringing us to basically 4.25. Okay. Then in October, just before Halloween, boom, jumbo cut. Thank you. They cut 0.5 basis points, bringing us below 4, down to the 3.75, which was awesome. We're like, oh my gosh, we're back in the threes. Thank goodness, And then December, today, I think they did us a huge solid. They cut another jumbo cut of 0.5 basis, getting us down to 3.25, right? Which is amazing. Like, if you had told me on September 4th, you'll be down by 1.0 basis point, in a couple of months from now, I would have said, I don't know if I agree with you, but that is what happened. So since September 4th, we've literally gone from an overnight lending rate of 4.25 to 3.25. which is awesome, right? In my opinion, keep them coming. Hopefully, thank you for the early holiday present. Hopefully January 29th can be hey, thanks for the New Year present, and they do it again. So those are the dates that what was coming on. What was I going to say? Like I mentioned earlier, I like giving you stats so that and then you can start to see what you think the market, or what's going to happen in the market, and what you think that the Bank of Canada is going to do with the interest rates. But literally between now and the end of 2026, okay, to throw some stats at you, there will be 900, this equates to 4 million mortgages exceeding $900 billion, right? The B, $900 billion, over 4 million mortgages, over $900 billion. That's how much mortgages will be renewing between today and the end of 2026. So let's say you're the government. Let's just play a game. Let's say you're the government, you're in charge of things, you decide, you pull those levers. Do we cut? Do we leave it the same? Do we increase? Do we you know what I mean? How much do we? Do we do 0.25? Do we do a jumbo cut of 0.5? If your target is to get the interest rates, right, an inflation curve, but the interest rates, to I think 2.25 or 2.5. Where's that number? It's going to bug me now. If your goal is to get there and you only have X amount of months to do so, what would you do, right? There it is. Aiming to reach a neutral rate estimated between 2.25. Yes, hopefully it's 2.25. What's your lever? Knowing that $900 billion in mortgages, 4 million mortgages will be coming due. And right, the last couple of years have been tougher on the economy in that. So knowing that Canadians, or not just Canadians, but Canadian mortgages, people might have a harder time they will have a hard time qualifying if the interest rates are higher than when they got them 5 years ago during COVID, right? So that's the thing. So let's say you're the government, what would you do? You know that this will create huge hardship on your population, on the market, the economy. You pretty much and again, I've never been put in that position, but I'm just thinking out loud, like you pretty much almost have to keep reduce. And I'm not an economist, so again, I know there's so many things to think about, and I'm just looking at that, but like you kind of almost have to start coming down, because if people renew at a higher and can't afford it, or they don't qualify anymore, it's going to cause a lot of issues. So anyway, that's good for real estate investors like Mel and I. It's good for our Action family members, right? Lower interest rates. Hopefully, again, it isn't always. It's not always, hey, they cut, so it's lower interest rates. It's always, to do with the bonds and all that. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert there. Again, that's why I talk to mortgage brokers and economists that are like, they look at all the facets going on, like this is why the rates are staying the same, or this is why they're going down. But definitely the variable rate ones, who are directly correlated with prime, right? Because prime will go down effective tomorrow. Should anyway. I don't see why not. But anyway, I never like to give 100%. The mortgage, the bankers have already told me yes. But which will be a what again? It'll be at 5.45, I think we had said. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Prime tomorrow will be 5.45, right? Because as of right now, it's 5.95. Yeah, drop it by 0.5. So prime will go down. Variable rate mortgages will go down. I know mine are. I've already got the confirmation from the bankers who hold those mortgages that they're going to be going down. So any questions, definitely put it in the chat. Let me know your thoughts. Are you happy rates went down? Did you think they were going to go down 0.25? Did you think they were going to go down 0.5 jumbo like they did? Did you think they would go down higher? Like what was your opinion? Don't be shy. I want to find another stat that I put it all aside, but now I can't find it. They had said, that's right, that they wanted, where's the wording? Many of those loans originally secured of historically, I know that's the thing. So this represents, approximately 1.2 million Canadian fixed rate mortgages are set to renew in 2025. Remember, it was 4 million by the end of 2026, 1.2 million by the end of 2025, right? This represents a significant portion of the mortgage market, as many of these loans were originally secured during periods of historically low interest rates. Consequently, homeowners may face higher monthly payments upon renewal. So that is why the Bank of Canada is doing what they're doing, because as people renew, if they can't renew close to where they were before, meaning their qualifying power has gone down or their payments go up, again, that could mean some issues. So I'm happy to see that today was another jumbo cut. And yeah, hopefully, I know it's two different countries, but next week will be the Fed, and hopefully they cut as well, as we've got a few U.S. properties going on, and I'd like to pay lower interest rates, right? Who wants to pay higher interest rates? All right. So I just want to come on live, quickly. Bank of Canada cuts. If you have any questions, message us or DM us on social. I know we're live on multiple different platforms here. If you're not following us on YouTube, make sure to do so. We release a video every single week, or most weeks. I think we got over 1,000 videos. If you're not following us on Instagram and Facebook, please do. You'll see our stories. If you're tuning in from YouTube, it's always at Investor Mel Dave. Okay, always the same handle everywhere. So if you're following us on YouTube, and you're like, yeah, I see all your videos. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram so you can see our stories and what's going on. But yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in. Fingers crossed, January 29th, we've got another cut. Fingers crossed that next week the Fed cuts, and fingers crossed that the Leafs keep winning, right? This is their year, right? All right.